Let's pull up the story real quick, too, get some context here. We have this from timcast.com. De Blasio says people will be forced to accept COVID vaccines if their, quote, paychecks depend on it.
Wow.
This dude was giving an interview, and he basically said, I will destroy your life to get you to do what we want you to do. And I was just like, if you want to live in that city and you want to live under his boot and lick it,
they like it.
Feel free to do it.
Yeah. If you want,
I'd leave.
If you want to call anything white supremacy, that's it right there.
Yeah.
If you look at the vax mandates, who it predominantly affects, the consequences of it, especially in New York City, especially with people of color. Holy frickin'
His name's
cow!
Wilhelm.
Yeah, right.
I mean, look at I just call him Bozo the
Should we call him Kaiser?
Yeah.
I am absolutely
my favorite image from
that
this year.
He still has any political power.
My favorite image, one of my favorite images of this year, videos really, is him alone in Times Square dancing with his wife.
Yep.
When everyone was not allowed to be in there,
when
everyone was told, get away, you're not allowed to come to Times Square.
It's a mad
only
king.
the special elites, only the people who give out the orders will be celebrating and dancing in the middle of it, as the order followers will kick everyone out. It was disgusting.
Look at this.
And the New York Times made that one of the photos of the year that they were celebrating and toting as something great. They didn't show Bill de Blasio dancing there by himself with his wife, with police officers protecting them.
Meanwhile, the governor's a mass murderer.
They kicked out everyone from Times Square, and then they had their private dance.
So you can have a little prom night. That's cute.
It's cute, right?
So this is, listen, man.
I think I like your point that people with kids, people with families should leave. There's really nothing that they could do. And I will not fault anybody for leaving if there's really nothing else they can do. But I did write a piece for Timcast. It was in August, I think. It was called Here's How New Yorkers Can Fight Back Against Medical Mandates, where I interviewed somebody from the New York Young Republican Club. And they talked about basically how they're like staging like sit-ins and anti-mask protests and rallies. And I think non-compliance is like a truly American virtue. I mean, it's what basically birthed this country and birthed this nation. And I would hate to just have everyone retreat when I think there is a silent majority, and I think it's time for them to speak up. And I know everyone's so tired of everyone saying, "Oh, silent majority," but I think it's a real thing, and I think people are scared. And if you can afford to not leave, and if you can afford to, not comply, I think you should.
I totally agree. Were they in the city?
Yep.
Yeah. So like that's a different, like the city is a whole different world from the rest of New York. I kind of said this last time. Like this, New York City is a little pea at the bottom of the state that kind of dictates the policy for the rest of this giant state. And they vote sometimes overwhelmingly red while the city votes blue. I would hope for non-compliance if you can. That's the way to go for sure.
Non-violent civil disobedience.
Yes.
It's as simple as people just being like, no.
Just say no.
And then
we will not comply.
Yeah.
It's like a perfect American phrase, and it's just like we forgot about it, or we attribute it to like white supremacists or something.
Yeah. Ben Shapiro did not forget. Daily Wire guys did not forget.
Yeah,
that's like they're all their logo icons, avatars or whatever. Do not comply. We will not comply. It's crazy how.
But they also retreated. Like they left a state that was pretty dystopian, like New York. But it's good to say not comply. But I also think sometimes those cities.
I
don't
blame them at all.
It's kind of a FU, and it sends a message to the state. I think it's kind of good in some sense because it does send a message, and I think that people are going to look at that and be like, "Hey, we need to make a change," or "Hey, something's up."
Yeah. Some people argue that you're voting with your feet. Right? By staying in New York City, you're paying their taxes, you're a part of their workforce, you're incentivizing people to say, I will control every aspect of your life, and you will obey, and you will live underneath my boot. No, I won't. I'm going to go to Florida. I'm going to go to New Hampshire. I'm going to go to West Virginia. I'm going to go to Texas. I'm going to go where my rights are respected, where my money actually goes towards the greater good, and doesn't go towards discriminating against people, doesn't go towards giving people less opportunities because they didn't do a procedure that a government bureaucrat wanted them to do. And it's sickening what's happening in New York City. And there are some people standing up